Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host Nicole, and if you're watching me right now, you'll probably notice that we're in a different setting. We're in my living room and we are so cozy. I'm not even wearing underwear. We're in our sweatpants. I'm not even wearing makeup. I had no intention of recording today. I'm actually in a shit fucking mood. I'm going to be honest. I was like, I definitely can't record today because I'm in a horrible mood. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling like I want to isolate. But I was like, you know what? This is the perfect time for me to record because that's what girl therapy is all about. And I figured I could actually use you girls right now so we could just talk. I don't even have a plan. I didn't come here with a plan. I just want to talk to you guys because I think this is really relatable. I think I show a lot of like my highs on the internet. Everybody does. Like we all show us at our best, and sometimes I don't record TikToks when I'm upset, or if I am upset I won't talk about it and I'll just pretend like I'm not for 2 minutes. And that's not life, and that's not real, and that's not what girl therapy is all about. We share the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're gonna get probably kind of emotional today. Like I already feel like I'm gonna cry for some reason. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I have no plans. First I want to like talk about that. Like so many of us get down on ourselves because we don't have plans on the time all the time, or we're not doing something all the time. And sometimes I look at people's content even on like Instagram or TikTok and I'm like, well, I'm not doing something. Like, should I be doing something? Am I a loser? Am I wasting my life? I couldn't go to my friend's Super Bowl thing because it's a long story, but basically the story is that I like drunkenly like blackout kissed her now fiance 2 years ago. They weren't dating or anything then. They were broken up, of course. And now she just has this thing against me, and it sucks because like it's part of our friend group and she's like hosting for Super Bowl and I don't get invited. So like that's something that we're dealing with right now as a friend group, but it's okay. Like now I get to sit here and talk to you guys, and I didn't force plans or like force anything. I was like, I don't really want to do anything, and that's okay. You don't always have to be doing something. I woke up this morning and I was just kind of in like a weird mood. I was just feeling like down on myself a lot of times, unfortunately, and maybe this isn't relatable, but like when my videos don't do well on TikTok, or when like I feel like I'm shadow banned or my content's not being pushed out, like it makes me sad, and it makes me feel like imposter syndrome. It makes me feel like I want to quit what I'm doing. It makes me feel like I am not good enough, or I'll never get to where I want to be. It's so important to me that I'm reaching my audience, and when I don't reach you guys, it makes me really upset, and it makes me want to like quit and stop. I'm not going to. I just allow myself to be sad. So like that's kind of what I'm doing today, and I'm doing like all the self-care things. I went to the gym, I boxed, I like got some anger out, I got some frustration out. I came home, I showered, and I was just gonna do nothing, but I was like, let me just hop on here and talk to you guys because this is real, and this is like the real me, and I'm not always like happy, and I'm not always okay, and sometimes it's okay not to be okay. Me like crying. I think what sucks about being a really determined and driven person is that you can really beat yourself up when things aren't going great, or when you're not feeling great about yourself. And I tend to like beat myself up a lot, which is why I feel like my highs are really high and my lows are really low. And it's really hard sometimes when I'm not in the place where I want to be or where I envisioned myself being. And I don't mean physically. I mean like career-wise or relationship-wise or life-wise. Like at this point, I would have thought that I would have had at least 1 million followers. It's really hard to not be in the place that you want to be. I'm just going to talk about like spitball some things that like I've been going through recently. I have been going through this really weird situation. I think when I went to LA, I put distance between me and somebody who was hurting me at the time, and I was able to heal so much and grow and reflect a lot about why I'm stuck on somebody who isn't treating me how I want, especially when I go on the internet and I share advice and I share tips, and I have this like mentality that I don't get like attached to people. And it's true. Like I think you guys see me go on dates with a lot of guys, and I generally don't give a fuck, especially the guys that I just go out with once or twice. And it's easy for me to give advice when it doesn't involve me or it doesn't involve my feelings, and it's just a one-off person, or it's just somebody who I didn't really like. But it's really hard when you do like somebody and when you have feelings involved. I am a very vulnerable, emotional person, and that's not something that people expect from me. I think I put on this really good front and I have a really tough exterior, and I'm really good at putting my walls up and hiding my emotions when I need to. But when I like somebody, or when anybody likes somebody, it's really hard to always do what's best for you and put yourself first and prioritize you and say, fuck that man, I'm never speaking to him again. And it's really hard to do the logical thing, like walk away and not talk to him. I do a really good job at putting my foot down and like not talking to somebody. I can do a really good job at going no contact. I can do a really good job at taking care of myself and being independent. You know, I do keep a pretty good mindset and I am pretty logical. But when that person does reach out, or when that person wants to have a conversation, or you allow that person to come back in because you have feelings, it is really hard then to take your own advice. Sometimes I don't take my advice. And I know that, and you guys know that. My friends know that. I don't hide anything from them. But I'm dealing with something where I allowed somebody back into my life and I really care about them. I kind of was like, let me, give this one last chance. And I did. I laid it all out there. I laid all my feelings out there. I told them everything. And this is something that I will always do. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and maybe to a fault. Sometimes if you are a very open, vulnerable person, that is a very strong quality to have. It really does put you in a difficult position when you put all your cards out there, and they always say, don't reveal your hand, don't play all your cards, because people will take advantage of that. And that is true. Something that I never do is hold back. Even like on TikTok, that's what built my career, was this oversharing and being vulnerable, because I think that that's something that today we severely lack on the internet and real life. I think people are afraid to get vulnerable. I think people are afraid to even commit or get into relationships. It's really sad, and it's hard when you're somebody like me who wears your heart on your sleeve, is very open, is quick to love, is kind of a little bit of a hopeless romantic. I'm a little bit of like an old soul, and I get attached to people who I really care about. And when I love you, like I love you. And this person I have a soft spot for. I just want to speak about the fact that like when you're hurt by somebody and you've maybe shoved them away, or you've done all the healing things and you're in a way better place, and they come back and you think, okay, maybe they're going to come back better. And maybe if I let them in my life again, it's going to be different. And I'm going to give them one more chance, and I'm going to try again, and I'm going to be open to it. And I'm really strong now. And you let them back in, and then things are the same. And it's hard not to beat yourself up sometimes, or be like, fuck, I shouldn't let them back in, or I knew I shouldn't have been vulnerable, or I feel stupid. I was just speaking to Livy about something where she kind of, had a situation where she let a guy back in who she also went no contact with. And I don't want to speak on that too much because that's her business. But she just texted me and she's like, I feel so stupid. And I'm like, no, you should never feel stupid for feeling things. You should never feel stupid for being open and vulnerable. And you should never feel stupid for being you. And I've never felt stupid. As much as I've made an idiot out of myself, as much as I've overshared or said too much, or really was vulnerable with somebody who wasn't showing me, the same openness or vulnerability or emotion in return, I never regret it. It's hard when you really care for somebody and it just doesn't pan out, and maybe it's right person, wrong time. I don't know if I believe in that exactly. It's really important to remember that it's not a reflection of you. You can't beat yourself up for feeling the way you did. Like, I feel like people who are like, oh, I was so stupid for doing that. You responded to a certain situation, or you acted on your emotions that you were feeling at that time. And it's really easy to look at that from, a third person's perspective, or in hindsight, and be like, well, if I had knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done that. But it's like you didn't know what you know now, because you were in that moment acting on your feelings. And that's okay. And it's okay to make mistakes. Being a confident person is being okay with making mistakes and learning from them. Being okay asking for help. To be confident is to own that you might not always be right, that you don't always know what you're doing, but you have enough confidence in yourself that if you ask somebody, or ask for direction, or open up, or admit that you're wrong, that you can then fix it and then move on and go from there. I think somebody who is not confident in what they have to offer, who they are, or what they can do, will maybe stay quiet and try to figure it out because they feel like they have to show up as a certain version of themselves. I know that I'm going to make mistakes. I know that I'm a human, and I know that I'm going to have good days and bad days, and I'm going to cry, and healing isn't linear, and I'm going to let people back in maybe because I want to. No other reason than I just want to. Maybe it's fucking stupid. It usually is fucking stupid. I mean, there does come a point if somebody has like really physically hurt you, or it's been years and years and years of the same thing, yeah, let them go. But at the same time, you have to always follow your heart. And what I've always done is follow my heart. I'm honestly not upset about where it's brought me or led me because I've learned so much. And even in this time now where I let somebody back in and it didn't pan out exactly, we were able to have a conversation about it. And I was able to still be very open. And like, I told this person, like, I love you. And that was true. And that was honest. And that's how I was feeling. I said, you know, like, I love you. And this hurts, and I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And maybe one day we can get to a point where we're friends. And I really do hope so. Like, I don't hate you. I think a lot of people's initial reaction to things where their heart is broken is to put up a wall and say they hate somebody. And then they don't really feel the emotion or allow themselves to feel emotion or allow these thoughts and things to pass because they feel guilty for maybe caring or they feel stupid for caring. And I think that that is why people stunt their healing or don't heal properly. This time where like I had this conversation with this person and we were able to really talk, I'm able now to really heal properly and like know that I put it all out there. And I said everything that I had to say. I can walk away from that situation knowing that I said everything that I had to say and I meant every single word. And it was probably the healthiest conversation and most constructive conversation we've ever had. And I think we've just gotten to a point where I'm able to communicate and express myself more because I'm not afraid of like my feelings anymore. I'm not afraid of laying it out all on the table because I'm not afraid of losing it. If anything, there's only something to gain from sharing your emotions and for being true to who you are. My intuition just told me to like share. And my intuition has told me this entire time to allow him back in. Was it the smartest thing? Sometimes, maybe not. I think initially when it didn't maybe pan out how I envisioned it or like hoped that it would, I would have thought like, I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna be so mad at myself. I'm gonna hate myself for this. Now I'm starting from square one with the healing process, and I've really put a lot of time and energy into my healing. Like, how could you let somebody come in and disturb your peace so quick and destroy that and like ruin kind of your progress? But after me and him had this conversation, and it might not be me as this person, we were made to come into each other's lives for a reason. Even if it's not meant to be, that's okay. I'm okay with whatever outcome because I know that everything is happening how it's exactly supposed to happen. When me and him had that conversation, I hung up and I was a little sad, but not really. I didn't cry. I didn't beat myself up and I wasn't angry. I was like, yeah, like I said everything I had to say and it is what it is. And I feel like I've said so many times, it is what it is, it is what it is, it is what it is. Like in the past, like when I was getting over things, I would say that as like my comfort phrase, or like I would say that to put my wall up, like it is what it is, it's whatever. Yeah, whatever. It didn't like work out. Or I'd be like, it is what it is, like as a joke kind of. But I was still so upset that it wasn't, like I was upset that it wasn't how I wanted it to be. But now when I say what it is, I'm like, it is what it is. I am proud of how I showed up for myself and I am proud of how I laid my emotions out there. And I'm okay with getting hurt. It's inevitable. Getting hurt is inevitable, but how you handle it is up to you. One of my strongest qualities is that I'm so vulnerable and that I'm okay with being hurt. I think that's a very attractive thing. I would rather feel than to not at all. And I feel like I've said that before, like I would rather hurt than to have never liked somebody enough to let them hurt me or to let somebody in. I walked away from our conversation feeling good. And I don't feel like I am starting over by any means, actually. I feel like this is where my progress and my healing shows the most because I know like it's not a reflection of me and I know that I'm going to be okay. I existed before this person and I'm going to continue to exist whether or not they stay in my life. I'm just really open right now to just staying open and to seeing where this takes me and to see what's in store for me. I'm going to be rewarded for my good heart. So I just like went about my life. Yeah, I'll be sad for a day or whatever. And I actually like went on a date with a different guy. And even though he's definitely not going to be my husband, I stayed open to going on a date with somebody and giving somebody else a chance. Just rolling with the punches is it's so important to stay open. And I think like initially I did say like I hate men. I never want to speak to men again. But then I was like, that's not true. I don't hate men and I am going to speak to men again. When it's going to happen for me, it's going to happen. But if I close off, it's never going to happen. But a few days later, after I had this conversation with said guy who I care about, he called me and he was like, hey, I'm just checking in and making sure you're okay. I don't like that you're upset. I would just want to, make sure you're okay. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like genuinely, I'm fine. I'm not putting on a front. I'm okay. Does it hurt? A little bit. No, yeah, no, it hurts. No, it hurts for sure. But am I okay? Yeah. Am I going to sit here and cry about it? No, because that's not helping anything. It doesn't change anything. And I've also cried for 2 years over it. Like, I literally saw this through to the end. I'm gonna go about my life now. You're gonna miss my energy, and you're gonna miss like having me around. I know you are, because I'm confident in myself and what I have to offer. Then me and him ended up grabbing lunch, and we had a good day, and we just hung out as friends, which was actually really nice, because I feel like the entire time that me and him have kind of been hanging out, he's always, and maybe this isn't an overshare, this is an overshare for sure. Part of me was like, do I feel really close to him because we have sex? And I think sex has a way of making you feel closer to somebody than you actually are, or bonding you to somebody that you actually don't have a bond to or emotional bond to at all. But then just hanging out with him, I was like, no, like, we do genuinely enjoy each other's company, and I do genuinely care for him. And it's not strictly sexual, but it didn't make me sad. It made me feel like this is what I've wanted the whole time, in a way, to be like, to validate my feelings a little bit and be like, okay, it wasn't just like a false thing where I have feelings for this person because we have sex. I'm able to make such better decisions about somebody and decisions for me when I'm not having sex with them. During my healing process from this person, when I did go away to Santa Monica, I didn't have sex for 9 months, and it really cleared my brain fog and helped me heal a lot. And it helped me really be honest with myself and kind of like take a step back from the situation and make really logical choices. Sex has a way of really blurring our vision, and it alters our brain chemistry. There's a whole science behind it. When I wasn't having sex, I was able to really look at this person for who they are. I think right now I'm at a point where I'm not sleeping with you anymore. Like, there's no hatred there. It's not going to be awkward. I'm going to run into you. It's really nice to be in that place where I put up a boundary and I'm sticking to it. And it's not just all or nothing now. I feel like before it was like, we're not talking, we're not having sex, we're in no contact. And that's how I was trying to heal. But that wasn't realistic. Now I put up a boundary where I was like, I'm not having sex with you. If I run into you, I'll say hi. If we want to grab lunch together, we can grab lunch together. And that showed me how much I've really healed, because I am still making the best decision for me. And I'm still following my heart. I'm still putting myself first. And I knew that if I continued to have sex with this person, I definitely would continue to get hurt. So I said, remove the sex from the situation. I feel really good about where I'm at right now with that. And I'm really proud of myself for that. And maybe that's a baby step. Maybe eventually we'll get to a point where we realize we're not really friends, or maybe I'll get to a point where, I'm staying open. I'm going to continue going on dates with people if they ask me out. And maybe I'll allow somebody else to come in and feel more of an emotional connection to. One that will maybe eventually lead to a sexual connection. I'm the type of person who can't really sleep with multiple people at the same time. By can't really sleep, I mean I really can't sleep with anybody except for one person. I'm just a monogamous at heart. So I think because I was only sleeping with this person for almost 3 years, obviously that does something to you, but it obviously closed me off to the possibility of sleeping with anybody else. And it also made it hurt so much knowing that this person was sleeping with somebody else. I actually had a girl just ask me, she's like, what do you do if you really like somebody and they're also sleeping with somebody else and you guys aren't together? And the thing is that you kind of have to just do what's best for you. Know that if you sleep with that person, they're sleeping with somebody else. Can you handle that? And I can't handle that. And I'm in this situation where I know this person's also sleeping with somebody else. So I've decided to remove myself from the equation. That's the best possible thing that I can do for my mental and physical health. It allows me to now be logical. If my vagina is not involved, you do whatever you want. Before, it was really hard for me to not get so emotional or react about things because me and him were sharing that intimate experience, and I hated the idea of him doing it with somebody else or sharing that with somebody else, making me feel like our connection was invalidated because he's doing it with somebody else. I do recommend abstaining from sex for a little bit if you haven't ever tried that and you're trying to heal, or you're just trying to get over somebody. Pussy is power. Us as women, we are very powerful, and withholding sex is a very powerful thing to do. For you, I think it's empowering for women. I don't mean manipulate somebody by being I'm not having sex with you, but I do think that keeping that and looking at that as a sacred thing and not sharing it with everybody can do wonders for you, can really help you build an emotional connection with somebody. A lot of times in my past, I've used sex to feel close to somebody or to feel an emotional connection to them because words are really scary. I think it's so much easier to get naked than to bear your emotions. And now I'm kind of at the point where I want to feel close to somebody, not because of the sex. I want sex to bring us closer. I don't know how I just got into a talk about like staying celibate. Do whatever you want. Like, I kind of wish I had a slut phase. Like, I never had a slut phase. I like had a boyfriend in college. After college, me and him broke up, and I kind of went through like a small slut phase where I slept with 3 people. One of them I actually ended up really liking, and I ended up only sleeping with him for like, I want to say like almost a year. But yeah, that was like my slut phase. I was like, that was a sad showing for a slut phase. I really wish I went harder. But you gotta stick true to who you are, right? If that doesn't sit well with you, it doesn't sit well with you. You don't have to like go out and have your slut phase. I do have a problem with getting attached to people. I've never had a guy who I hooked up with and it hasn't turned into something if I really liked him. And that's also something that I really struggle with. When I find somebody that I like them and I love them really hard and I stay loyal to them and I will see that shit through. Like that guy who I really liked, who I slept with after my ex, I wanted it to work out with him so bad. And I was hooked on him for like 2 years. Finally, he got a girlfriend, and thank God that did me a favor because I was able to be like, okay, now it's really over. Like it's never happening, and they're engaged now and having like a baby. And are they having a baby? Maybe they're not having a baby. But anyways, they're married. No, they're married. It's funny because I used to like look to see if he like viewed my stories and all this stuff, and now he like watches all of them. It's just kind of funny to see it because I used to like pine for his attention, and he never gave it to me, and now he like watches all my shit. It's not weird. He's like my same age. Like he's on Instagram. So funny because I see his relationship now and like see him now, and I'm like, wow, I'm so happy for you, and like I love this for you. Then I see him and his wife, and I'm like, I wouldn't have wanted that to be me, and I'm so happy it didn't work out for us, and it like really wasn't supposed to work out for us. That's not supposed to be me. So it's just funny how like looking back on things that like I really wanted, or people who I thought I loved or really liked or wanted to be with, and then it didn't pan out for us. Looking back at it now, it all makes sense, and I'm happy it didn't pan out for us. So that's kind of how I handle situations now, or look at situations now, is like this person who I really wanted to work out with, I've said my piece and it's all out of my hands now. Maybe I'll look back at this situation in 2 or 3 years and say, wow, I'm so happy it didn't work out for us, because I can see so clearly now that he wasn't my person. I think I've tried so hard to control things, and I'm finally at a place now where I'm, like I said, like I'm saying it is what it is, and I'm releasing control, and I'm okay with that. If I look back at this situation in 2 years and I'm like, wow, I'm so happy that didn't work out, or I can see clearly why it didn't work out, that's a great place to be in. What I'm trying to get at is it's that like life goes on. All you can do is enjoy the time in the meantime. All you can do is enjoy the healing process and experience the things and learn from them. You can't stay living in the past or beating yourself up for the past. If you acted authentically yourself, then that's amazing, and it is what it is. So if you're going through something, just know you will get through it. Think of an ex-boyfriend or a guy that you were with that like you really wanted to work out with and it didn't. You're completely healed from that, and you look back at that situation, you're like, holy shit, like how did I not see that this person wasn't right for me? So just think about that if something's not working out currently, and try to just enjoy the meantime and like the process, because my only regret, not even real regret, is just that I tried so hard to control things, and I spent so much time analyzing situations and having fake conversations in my head, or reading into things or rereading things, or trying to get this person's attention. At the end of the day, all of that stuff is wasted energy and wasting efforts. So I really recommend just putting energy into yourself and being honest with yourself, taking things for as they are, and just living in the moment. Like just live in the now. And that's really the secret to a lot of things, is just living in the now, especially in healing. Social media, we live a lot in the past because of like people's stories, and we follow exes, and we keep people in our life who aren't physically in our life anymore. And what I mean by that is you maybe are with a situationship or with an ex or somebody that you like who you're struggling with. We follow them on social media and we look at their stuff, and we're keeping them in our present life. We're making it really hard for ourselves to move on. We make it really hard for ourselves to heal when we're almost keeping that person in our reality, maybe not our 3D, but our reality on our screens. And that's why I think out of sight, out of mind works so well in the healing process, is really just not making it harder for yourself to move on or live in the present moment. If that means hiding their story, focus on yourself and live in the now, then do that. There's no reason to keep putting this person in your vision or in your forefront who isn't in your life. Like then you actively really have to make the decision every day to not look at their story, or to not stalk their feed or look at their following. Make your life a little bit easier if you're like going through a healing process. I'm really happy with how this talk actually turned out. I feel a lot better. I get waves of emotions. Sometimes I get in my head and I overthink. I'm definitely an overthinker. I can get sad, but I need to remind myself that that's just life and we're humans and that's okay. And it's okay to have a bad day and it's okay to be sad and it's okay to cry. It's okay to, let somebody in and have been hurt by them. It's okay to go back to people and hoping for it to be different. It's not. Never feel stupid for that. I love how I love. I would rather love harder than to not love at all. I think that's just kind of like the message that I wanted to spread today, and to know that it's okay to like feel things and it's okay to hurt. It's okay if you're not doing anything all the time. It's okay if you sit in your shower and cry. We all handle and process things differently, and one person's way of healing might not be the same as yours. One person's way of processing things might not be the same as yours. Get advice from your friends and talk to your friends as much as you see fit, but also know that it's your life at the end of the day and they're not experiencing like what you are. And just keep people around you who make you feel good and make you feel like you can be open and vulnerable and aren't going to make you feel stupid or shitty. I think that's also just like major, is like I have a really good support system around me who's never made me feel stupid, who I've always felt I can be open with. That has also helped me so much. So I definitely suggest keeping a good group of friends around you, or at least having one person that you feel really safe confiding in. Yes, wear your heart on your sleeve if you want to. Be as vulnerable as you want to, but don't use vulnerability in a way to manipulate somebody or to hope that it makes them open up to, or to make them feel bad. When I put out my emotions, I don't expect anything in response, and I don't expect that person to respond how I want them to. I say what I say and expect nothing in return. I don't use it in a way to manipulate them or try to like gain trust in them or to gain a piece of information from them or to make them feel bad. Nobody's responsible for my emotions except for myself, which is why I sit here and I do all the self-care and I talk it out and I talk about it, whether it's to you guys, to myself, to my voice memos, to my friends. You can be open and vulnerable and all these things, but don't expect people to understand it, and don't expect people to respond how you are, or don't expect people to act or be open and respond and be vulnerable the same way that you are. So that's like the healthiest way to go about it, I think. This was like a very emotional podcast, probably one of my favorites, because we got to just do it from the comfort of my living room, and we're going to continue doing them from here. Who would have thought all I needed was just this? I procrastinated so much in the past thinking that I needed to like have this whole setup, but at the end of the day, like, this is just about us and I'm just sharing my life. I love you girls so much. I know some of you guys wish I had like an intro or outro. I don't really know if that's my style, but maybe I'll just like make one myself because I don't want it to feel like too abrupt. I hate when I feel like I'm just like slamming the door on you guys, or I'm just like, okay, bye, and hanging up. We can like do like a little song like girl therapy. No, I don't. Maybe not that. What do I say? How do I like do my little outro? Like, that was today's episode. I hope that you got the therapy you needed. Like, I don't really know how to leave this. Therapy is over. The girl therapy is over. Make sure you come back next week for our other session right here on this couch. I love you girls so much. Besos, besos, kisses. See you next week. Bye.